Okay, wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I think there's echoing for me.
Okay, whoops. Yeah, so wait, Ishani, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately today is our last day with quadratics. And just to clarify something, we have definitely not taught you guys everything about quadratics. So I mean, hopefully you'll get to learn quadratics in your math classes as well. And but yeah, today is our last day with them. And so yeah, today we're going to be going over the quadratic formula, as well as some other things that aren't really quadratics. Wait, Ishani, am I echoing?
Not for me, but I'm joined from computer audio or from phone audio, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, not anymore? All right. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna be learning about the quadratic formula as well as some other types of equations that are sort of similar to quadratic equations, but a little bit different. Okay. So, Ishani, you can do this. Wait, Ishani, are you talking?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Okay, how would we factor a quadratic if we had a coefficient for x squared that wasn't 1? So, okay, so we can make that coefficient, so a in ax squared plus bx plus c, we can make a equal to 1 by dividing everything by a. A lot of the times you're going to get b and c as fractions, so you won't want, so like it will be harder for you. However, if we want to use the same way that we've been using, where we find the product of the roots and the sum of the roots, that's what we would do. Also, we could use the quadratic formula, which we will be learning later on today. So in this scenario, after dividing everything by a, the sum of the factors will be equal to negative b over a, and the product of the factors is going to be c over a. Okay, so there's an example problem, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So say we have 3x squared minus 17x minus 28 is equal to 0. If we divide both sides by 3, we would get x squared minus 17 over 3x minus 28 over 3, which is equal to 0, because 0 divided by 3 is 0. And now we have fractions in this scenario. So remember again, the last number, so c is equal to the product of the factors, and then b is the negative is negative 1 multiplied by the sum of b factors. So we know that the factors would so the sum of the factors is equal to 17 over 3, and the actually I can annotate this. Okay, so the sum of the factors, so a plus b is equal to 17, right, over 3, and then a times b is equal to negative 28 thirds. So we have to find what two values multiply to negative 28 thirds and add to 17 thirds. So we know that the product is negative, so one of the numbers has to be negative. And we also know that since the sum is positive of the factors, that means that the greater of the factors is positive. So whichever one has the greater absolute value is positive, right? So negative 28 thirds has is equal, okay. And we also know that it's negative 28 thirds and 17 thirds are the product and the sum respectively. So we know that one of these values has a denominator of 3 and the other one is an integer, right? Because that would satisfy making both the product and the sum have a denominator of 3, right? So what values would multiply to negative 28, right? Because we know that the divided by 3 is going to happen to either, right, of the values, right? So negative 28 is equal to, so 28 is 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 4 times 7, right? And then it could be 1/3 multiplied by 28 or 1 multiplied by 28 thirds, where one of them is negative. Or it could be 2/3 multiplied by 14 or 2 multiplied by 14 thirds, or 4 multiplied by 7 thirds or 4 thirds multiplied by 7, right? So we can see that if we, because we do want to have 17 thirds as the sum of the values, if we do have like this 4 thirds and 7, then the 4 thirds would have to be negative, right? And then we'd get 21 thirds, which is 7, and then negative minus 4, which is equal to 17 thirds, right? Which would satisfy the criteria, right? So we would find that negative 4 thirds and 7 are our factors. So to put it in x plus a times x plus b form, we would have x minus negative 4 thirds, which is x plus 4 thirds, multiplied. Yeah, okay, sorry. I didn't explain it well because, yeah, I just didn't. However, in most of the case, okay, you can't hear well. Okay, wait, is my audio?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, wait. Okay, and then x minus 7 because we are subtracting both of these values from x, we're multiplying them together, and then we have 3 here. Okay, so my explanation wasn't great because a lot of the times when you do have something that has a coefficient of x squared that isn't 1, you don't do it in the factoring kind of way. You use the quadratic equation unless everything divides to have like something like an integer here or something pretty, right? Like something that you can, like values for b and c that are integers once you divide everything by the coefficient a, right? You only use this method when you have something like that. However, in this scenario, we didn't, so it's a bit more complicated to do it this way, which is why we are going to show you the quadratic formula.
Yeah. So basically, the quadratic formula is like the answer to all your factoring problems. It basically, the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and then the whole thing over divided by 2a, where these coefficients represent like the ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So basically, if you can't factor something or you don't feel like factoring it, and you've tried a bunch of other stuff to try to like solve the quadratic formula, but you still can't like figure out what to do, then this is what you do. You use the quadratic formula. And so this basically gives you the values of x which satisfy that equation. And let me just point out something. This plus or minus, like, why would you guys think there's a plus or minus sign? Like why would there be a plus or minus sign?
It could depend on what it is. Audience.
Because the square root of something can that never mind.
I mean, you're halfway
I didn't hear
there.
anything. You didn't.
I mean, you're pretty much halfway there. Yeah, basically the square root of something, basically when you square like a positive number, you'll get, for example, if you get 2 squared, that equals 4. But if you do -2 squared, that also equals 4. So when you're looking for the answer, that's when sort of basically when squared equals a number, it can be the positive or negative version of that. So you need to include this plus or minus sign. Also, because if you think about it, whenever you're solving for like the solutions of a quadratic equation, that's just asking, we've got a parabola and where they intercept the x-axis. And there's a point where there can be 2 solutions to this. You can have it intersect here or here. So there are 2 solutions, and that's what this plus or minus is for. This is saying that one of the solutions involves a plus sign here, and one of the other solutions involves a negative sign there. So yeah, so basically whenever you want to use this formula, literally all you do is you just take these values and you plug them in. So the B goes here, the A goes where the A is, and the C goes where the C is. So we can do some practice with that. However, there's one other thing I want to point out with the quadratic formula, and that's this square root thing over here. So this, okay, I'll circle it in red. This thing under the thing under the square root here, that is b squared minus 4ac. This is pretty, this component is called the discriminant. Discriminant. Oops, discriminant. So basically, no, not discrimination. That's no. The reason why it's called the discriminant is because it can discriminate how many different types of solutions there are. So basically, it can tell us if the solutions to the quadratic equation are real. They can tell us if the solutions are imaginary. It tells us if the solutions, if there's just 2, it tells us if there's 2 solutions that are different from each other. It tells us, or it can tell us if there's 2 solutions that are the same as one another. In other words, like it's just one number. So yeah, I'm going to show you how. So basically, b squared minus 4ac. If this equals 0, there is 2 identical solutions, meaning that there's technically only one solution because, 2 is the same thing as 2. So if b squared minus 4ac equals 0, there is only one solution. So in other words, if it equals 0, this is what the parabola is doing. It's like touching, oops, looks like it's not touching, but basically, if b squared minus 4ac is 0, that means that the parabola is just coming down and touching the x-axis without ever crossing it. So there's one solution to the quadratic equation. If b squared minus, yes, one x-intercept, yep, exactly. And if b squared minus 4ac, that's greater than 0, then that means there are 2 real solutions to the quadratic equation. That also basically means that the parabola thing, it means that the parabola is crossing the x-axis and intercepting it twice. So in other words, it has 2 solutions because it crosses the x-axis twice. And the final condition is if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then there are no real solutions. In other words, there are imaginary solutions, but we're not going to mess with imaginary numbers yet. So basically, if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, there are no real solutions. And what this means for the graph is that yeah, the graph is not actually crossing the x-axis. So since the solutions to the quadratic equation are basically the intercepts, well, but this graph doesn't have any intercepts, so it won't have any solutions, at least no real solutions. So this is why the discriminant is important, because this means that you don't actually like need to plug all the numbers in order to figure out if like the graph like, you know, has solutions at all. So yeah, that's pretty useful for stuff. So yeah, that's the discriminant. And yeah, any questions about this? Wait, 2a? 2a? I don't know. 2a is just 2a. 2a is just chilling out. The discriminant is this thing here.
Wait, so what if a is equal to 0?
If a is equal to 0, then it's actually a linear equation. So this won't apply because then, you know, then you're dividing by 0. And that's, math doesn't like that. So if a is equal to 0, it'd be a linear equation because remember, ax squared plus bx plus c, that's the quadratic equation. But if a is equal to 0, that means there's no x squared term. So it's just bx plus c, or that's just a linear equation. So yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, now we're gonna practice with that. You guys, are you gonna memorize this? If you're taking algebra 1 or algebra 2 or something like that, you will need to memorize it in your math class. I would recommend memorizing it, but like, but for now, like we can probably just give it to you. But yeah, it would kind of help if you were to memorize it. So we're gonna do some practice. So you're gonna use the discriminant to figure out how many solutions the quadratic equation has. And I'm gonna write the quadratic formula up again. Negative b plus minus the square root of, b squared minus 4ac over 3. There, this is a quadratic formula again. And remember, the discriminant is just this part here. So since we're only using this discriminant, this is actually the only part you care about. So this is the first one. X squared minus 2x minus 2 equals 7. So basically, how many solutions are there? Okay, does anyone still want more time? Okay, I can go over it to explain. Okay, so remember that this thing up here, b squared minus 4ac, that's the discriminant, right? And if the discriminant, I'm gonna just write this. If the discriminant is greater than 0, then that means there are two real solutions. If there's two real solutions, but if the discriminant is equal to 0, there's only one real solution. And if the discriminant is less than 0, then there's no real solutions. So we want to find, we're using the discriminant to figure out how many real solutions there are. So what we'll first do is we'll first take this and put it into the form of a's x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So in order to put it into that form, our first step is just to subtract 7 from each side. So that gives us x squared minus 2x minus 9 equals 0. So then what we do is we need to basically plug in the values of a, b, and c into the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, in order to figure out if it's positive, negative, or equal to 0. So you guys plug in the values of a, which is just 1, b, which is -2, and c, which is -9. Plug those into this thing here and tell me what you get. Yeah, so basically plug in the values of a, b, the coefficients a, b, and c, which is 1, because there's a 1 here, -2 and -9, into this, which is the discriminant, and tell me what your answer is for that. So I can also work it out for you guys. So the value of b for this is -2, which is right here. So -2 squared minus 4 times the a value, which is 1, times the c value, which is -9. So -9. So this is just equal to 40. And so yeah, it's for the people who got 40, that's correct. So is 40 positive, equal to 0, or negative? Yeah, it's positive. So since it's positive, that means there's 2 solutions to, yeah, don't forget the 7. That would be, yeah. So since 40 is positive, that means there's 2 real solutions. Yeah, don't forget this. You have to set it to 0 before you can do anything. Any questions about this first one? Does everyone get it?
Yeah, but are we supposed to find the answer or the amount of solutions?
Just the amount of solutions.
Okay.
If you want to find the answer, you can. But right now, we're just finding the number of solutions. Okay, Ishani, do you want to do one more?
We can move on.
Okay. If anyone has any questions about just finding the number of solutions, then you can just ask. By the way, this has 2 real solutions.
Yeah.
It says 0 here, but that's wrong. This should be 2.
Yeah. Okay, so the quadratic formula, we have it as -b plus minus radical b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So how would we use this on a actual quadratic equation? So we are given the example of 2x squared plus minus 7x plus 3 is equal to 0. So we have the a values of 2, -7, and 3. And now we want to solve it using the quadratic formula. So to solve it, we would want to just plug in a, b, and c into this formula. So I'm pretty sure you all know how to plug things into a formula, but I will just do this one for showing you guys what to do. So you have -b, which is negative value of -7, plus minus square root of b squared. So -7 squared is equal to -7 times -7. So that's -49, which is just 49, right? And then minus 4ac. So 4 times a is 4 times 2 times c is 4 times 2 times 3, which is just 24, over 2a. Now a is equal to 2, so we have a, which is 2, multiplied by 2, which is 4, as our denominator. So now we get 7 plus minus square root of 25 over 4, right? And the square root of 25 is just equal to 5. So we can have 7 plus minus 5 and that divided by 4. So we have 7 minus 5, which is 2 over 4. 7 minus 5, which is 2, which is then divided by 4. And then we have 7 plus 5 over 4, which is 12 over 4. Now we have to simplify these because 2 over 4 is not simplified, and 12 over 4 isn't either, right? It's much easier to express this otherwise. So we get answers of 1/2 and 3. So values, remember values of x where this is true are 1/2 and 3. So does anyone have any questions on that?
Y minus?
Where, like which minus? Oh, we were doing 7 plus 5 and 7 minus 5 because there is a plus minus in the quadratic formula. Yeah, that means plus as for one solution and minus for another. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? If not, we can move to some problems for this. Okay, so this is just a quadratic formula. So you probably should have written that down because, okay, I'll just write it on the screen because I don't think it's anywhere. So negative b squared minus 4a. Okay, wait, your writing just appeared on my screen. Are
Yeah,
you writing
because
it?
I saw you writing it, so.
Oh, okay, sorry, my computer is lagging. Okay. So negative b plus minus radical b squared minus 4ac over 2a is the quadratic equation, right? So these are the x values. So find the values, the solution for x squared minus 14x minus 32. And put your answers in the chat. Okay, I'm starting to see answers for this problem. So I'm going to go ahead and solve. So here we want to find what the A value, the B value, and the C value are. C values are, right? So A would be equal to 1, B is equal to negative 14, and C is equal to negative 32, right? So negative B, right? So for the quadratic formula, it's negative b, which would be equal to positive 14 plus minus radical b squared. B is equal to negative 14, so b squared would be equal to 196 minus 4ac. Now that would be equal to minus negative 128, which is 128, right? And then divide by 2a, which is just 2. And okay, to answer the question in the chat, a is not always 1, right? A can be any value. So it can be like 5x squared minus 14x, or 1,500x squared minus 14x, or it's like 0.0005 or something, right? But it can be any value. So yeah, it's a coefficient to x squared. Okay, so to continue the problem, so we want to simplify what's in the square root. So when we add it together, we get 14 plus or minus square root of 324 over 2, and 324 is 18, right? So we get 14 plus or minus 18 over 2, right? So then we can now solve it by just solving for this, right? So 14 plus 18 is equal to 32, right? So 32 divided by 2 is 16. And then 14 minus 18 is -4, and -4 divided by 2 is -2. So our solutions are 16 and -2. So you could have solved this by factoring it also, like the way we learned last class. However, we're just teaching the quadratic formula right now. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, if not, we're going to do one more problem on the quadratic formula. Okay, so number 3. Find the solutions for 7x squared plus 14x minus 15 is equal to 6.
Don't forget to set everything to 0 first.
Yeah. Remember, if you're able to simplify and then solve with the quadratic equation, do that, because it'll make it a lot easier on you, because you don't want to be squaring like huge numbers when you could be squaring smaller ones, right? So Okay, I am starting to see some answers, so I will explain. So we have 7x squared plus 14x minus 15 is equal to 6, right? Okay, so we want to, for simplify, right? Set everything to 0. So we get 7x squared plus 14x minus, okay, plus 4. Okay, 7x squared plus 14x minus 15 minus 6, which is minus 21, is equal to 0, right? Okay, right, so we have 7x squared plus 14x plus 21 is equal to 0. So we can see everything here is divisible by 7. So when we can simplify, we probably should. So we will divide everything by 7, and we get x squared plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0, right? And now we can use the quadratic formula to solve this, or we could factor it, right? Either way works. We can see it's x plus 3 times x minus 1, or is equal to 0, and we can find the solutions. Or we can do negative b, which is negative 2, plus minus radical b squared, which is 4, minus 4ac, negative 4 multiplied by negative 3 multiplied by 1 is equal to 12 over 2 times the coefficient of x squared, which is just 2, and we get negative 2 plus minus 4 over 2, right? And now we can see, we can either divide everything by 2 here, and then solve, or we can just solve it immediately, right? So negative 2 plus 4 is equal to 2, so 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. So 1 is one of our solutions. And then our other solution is equal to negative 2 minus 4 divided by 2. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So our other solution is negative 3. So that means that our answers are 1 and negative 3. So yeah. Let me see. I think that's what a lot of you got.
Yeah, just don't forget to set it
yeah.
equal to 0.
Yeah.
It's very easy to forget.
Right. Right. If you forget to set it to 0, you're going to get it wrong. So, yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay.
Oh, Sanvi? Oh,
I don't have a question. I accidentally raised my hand. Sorry.
okay. No problem. Okay.
Okay. So we're going to cover something else, Simon's favorite factoring trick. So although it's not part of quadratics, it is really important, and like not really important. It's like very useful, right? It's very useful in certain math problems. So it's actually named after the Simon guy from AOPS, right? Because
Wait,
like
it is?
yeah, because he posted on some forum in like the 90s or something,
Oh, okay.
right? And he was like, it's Simon's favorite factoring trick, and everyone wants it back, right? You know, so yeah. Anyways, Simon's favorite factoring trick, but it's been along for much longer than him. Okay, so it can be useful in solving many problems, including the one that should appear on the screen. Okay, including the problem, if we are given the equation xy plus 66x minus 88y is equal to 5,815, how many ordered pairs xy with integer values are solutions to this equation? So you might look at this and say, okay, I don't know how to do this. Let me just skip the problem. But actually using Simon's favorite factoring trick, it's relatively easy to solve this. Like you will be able to do it within 5 minutes, right?
As long as
So
the x, y, it only works if x and y are integers. If they're not integers, it won't work. But as long as they're integers, this is totally solvable, and you're going to be able to solve it in a few minutes.
Right. Okay. So first we know that we want to factor this into the form x plus a times y plus b is equal to c. So we have to figure out what a, b, and c are. So we want to multiply. So first we want to multiply out x plus a and y plus b to find out how it would be expressed as a whole thing. So yeah, you can click. Okay, so x plus a times y plus b is equal to xy plus bx plus ay plus ab, which equals to c, right? So we know the coefficient of x, which is b, is 66. So b is 66, and we know the coefficient of a is negative 88, and that means a is negative 88. So we get x plus a, which is, so x minus 88 times y plus 66, right, is equal to c, right? And we need to solve for c. So we know that x minus 88 times y plus 66 is xy plus 66x minus 88y plus a times b. And negative 88 times 66 is minus 5,808. So that means that we know that we are subtracting 5,808 from both sides of the original equation to get what we have right now. So 5,815 minus 5,808 would be equal to 7. So that means we have x minus 88 times y plus 66 is equal to 7. So C is 7, right? So 7 is equal to negative 1 times negative 7, or 1 times 7, meaning that we have 4 sets of solutions, or 4 ordered pairs, to satisfy this equation. And this is because x minus 88 could equal negative 1, and negative 1 times negative 7, or y plus 66 can equal negative 1. Because remember, we don't say positive integers. And x minus 88 can equal 1 in 1 times 7, or y plus 66 can equal 1 in 1 times 7. So
wait, did you lose us at how we got from here to here?
Yeah, what's your question? What is your question?
If you'd like us to,
What's your...
okay, we can re-explain it.
Yeah. Okay, essentially, Simon's favorite factoring trick is knowing you want to factor something into the form x plus a times y plus b is equal to c, right? And you want something in that form. So you multiply that out, and you see that the coefficients of the x and the y values, you make the coefficients align. So in this case, b is the coefficient, so b would align with 66, and a is the coefficient of y. So that would align with negative 88, right? So we do that, and we have an integer value, right? It's set to an integer value, x, right, c. So we change that integer value to make it so that x plus a times y plus b is actually, because we have ab added, even though we don't have that in the original equation, or the integer added in the original equation might differ, right? So we manipulate the integer value to make it factorable, right? So we have x minus 88 times y plus 66 is equal to c, and c is equal to 5,815 minus, or plus negative 88 times 66, which is minus 5,808. So 5,815 minus 5,808 is 7. So x minus 88 times y plus 66 is equal to 7. So we solve, since 7 is 1 times 7, or negative 1 times negative 7, we find the values for x and y which satisfy it in this context. So x minus 88 can equal to -1, or y plus 66 can equal -1, and the -1 times -7. And x minus 88 can equal 1, or y plus 66 can equal 1. We got the 8,000, we didn't get 8,500. Yeah, 5,815 from the original equation.
It's because
Up here.
basically what we're doing is we're factoring it out, but we have two variables. So when we're factoring out the equation, we're sort of like saying that we're just gonna say like, because you see that it's the 66 times the x, right? So it has to be in the form x plus a times y plus b, but we have this thing, the coefficient of x is 66. So in order for that to happen, the b value has to be 66 here. So this has to be 66 in order for it to get 66x. And since the y value here, since the y value coefficient is -88, the a value has to be -88 here. So, however, the problem is when we multiply this out, we get xy plus 66x minus 88y. And then we have this extra value because of the -88 times 66. So it ends up being like minus, and then 5,008 equals the original value. But this equation still isn't right because we have this extra value here. So basically all we're doing is just we're factoring it out and trying to make it balanced. So this comes from the original equation. So in order to make it balanced, if we subtract 5,008 from both sides, then this is the same as the original equation. Did that help?
Why not add on both sides?
Because when we're multiplying the -88 and the 66 out, we get minus 5,808. And since we're subtracting, since this is minus 5,808, we have to also subtract that from this side.
Oh, okay.
So that way, because now technically, if you cancel this out and deleted it, you're just getting the original equation, right? So we're subtracting this from both sides.
So we want to get from the original equation to xy plus 66x minus 88y minus 5,808. And to do that, we have to subtract 5,808 from both sides of the equation.
Yeah, that's a perfect explanation. And since we're subtracting this from both sides of the equation, this side is basically this factored form. So this side is that, and this side, 5,815 minus 5,808, that equals 7. So this is still equivalent to the original form. It's just we've factored it pretty much.
Okay, so do you have questions? Obviously, like, you aren't going to be perfect at it, but we will be doing more problems in the Jamboard if we get time. So yeah, hopefully that will help. Okay, yeah. Okay, continue. Okay, so yeah, we do have a Kahoot. Okay, so let's try a word problem. Okay, wait, go back.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So the word problem is two different prime numbers between 4 and 18 are chosen. When their sum is subtracted from their product, which of the following numbers can be obtained? So first thing we have to do is set up an equation. So in the chat, what equation? So let's say that the two different prime numbers are, I used x and y in this. So yeah, let's just say they're x. So we want to have an equation. So, okay, I'm saying xy plus x plus y. Remember it says, okay, so two different prime numbers. So when their sum is subtracted from their product, that is the specific equation we have in this scenario. Yeah, so xy minus x minus y, right? So xy minus x minus y is our equation, and it's equal to question mark, right? I think I actually see, but okay, it's equal to question mark, right? And we know that there are two different prime numbers between 4 and 18. However, first things first, let us try to factor this in some way so that we are able to see what the number like obtained could be, right? Like what pattern it would follow. So xy minus x, right? So this is just x times y minus 1, right? And now we have to account for the negative y. So what value times y minus 1 would get negative y? Negative 1, right? So negative 1. So we would get xy minus x minus y plus 1, right? So we would need to subtract, so we'd need to add 1 to both sides, right? Because we just added 1 to the left side, right? So we know that all the different prime numbers between 4 and 18 are odd, right? So that would mean that x minus 1 and y minus 1 are both going to be even, because 1 less than an odd is going to be an even. So that means that our product, so question mark plus 1 is going to be even. So that means that question mark is going to be odd, because if like 1 from an even is an odd, right? So that means immediately we can cross out A, B, and D, right? Because those are even, and evens are not odds, right? So now it's between 119 and 231, right? So let's list out the prime numbers between 4 and 18. So there's 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, right? These are all of the prime numbers between 4 and 18. So we can have, okay, so we know that if we subtract 1 from both of them, and then we subtract 1, we will get question mark, right? If we subtract 1, right, then this will cancel out, and we'll get question mark. So we have two even numbers minus 1 to get question mark, right? So let's say like 5 minus, okay, so let's take these values, C and D, right? So if these are 1 less, then, so these are going to be 1 less. The correct answer is going to be 1 less than 1 subtracted from 2 of these prime numbers multiplied together. So let's see. So this is 120 when we add 1 to it, right? So we're doing the reverse of this minus 1. And then this is 232, right? So we know that, okay, so just looking at 120, we know that it's 12 times 10, right? Is this 1 less than 2 prime numbers between 4 and 18? 10 is 1 less than 11, and 12 is 1 less than 13. Yes, it is. So immediately we can know that C is the right answer. However, you would probably go through some more thoughts on that. However, let's just see 232. Okay, so 232 is 2 multiplied by 116, which is equal to 2 squared times, 2 squared multiplied by 58, which is equal to 2 cubed, 2 cubed multiplied by 29, right? So 29 is definitely not between 4 and 18, but since it's a prime number and it's not between 4 and 18, we can't get it, right? So 231 is definitely incorrect. So that means our answer is going to be C. So, okay, if you have any questions, ask them now, because obviously that's a bit confusing. So yeah. I'm gonna take that for you do not have any questions. Okay, I was about to say. Okay, so Amy, do you think we should do the Kahoot or?
I think we can try to squeeze in one more question. Wait, is there another question that isn't? Or actually, we can go over difference of scores real quick, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Difference of scores. So wait, do you guys know what difference of scores is? Just a quick yes or no. Okay. Well, you guys are going to be in for a treat. So difference of squares basically multiply out a plus b times a minus b and tell me what you get. Simplified, kind of. I mean, some people already said it, so I'll just do it for you. It gives you a squared minus b squared. So why is that useful? Well, it's because whenever you get like an equation that's like x squared minus y squared, you can immediately factor that without even like knowing anything. You'll just immediately know x squared minus y squared is x plus y times x minus y. And well, this isn't really a quadratic. This is just another one of those random useful things. So yeah, this isn't a square of a binomial. This is basically if you have two numbers and you multiply their sum and their product if you multiply their sum and their difference together, you'll get their difference of the squares. And so, for example, 4x squared minus 9, that's basically like 2x squared minus 3 squared. So this would factor to 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 3. So, yeah, so this is pretty useful. So, for example, there's this quick word problem. The difference between the squares of two positive integers is 2009. What is the maximum possible difference between these two integers? So first, the difference between the squares of two positive integers, let's just call the integers x and y. And so the difference in squares is x squared minus y squared, and this difference is equal to 2009. So we're now looking for the maximum possible difference between these two integers. And so what we can do is that we can factor this because it's a difference of squares, x squared minus y squared. So this factors to x plus y times x minus y equals 2009. And why is this helpful? Well, it's because the question is asking for the maximum possible difference. And well, the difference is literally like right here. So that's pretty neat. And the other thing that's helpful is that we can now, because this is a product, so it's x plus y times x minus y, we can basically list out all the factors of 2009 and pretty much figure out which of these has like the maximum, which of these gives us the maximum difference. So 2009 is equal to 7 times 41. I'm not fully sure how you would find that besides just dividing by 7. So we can list out the factors. However, one thing to note that the sum x plus y has to be greater than the difference x minus y, because one of them you're adding together, one of them you're finding the difference. So this one has to be the bigger factor. So if we list them out, one is going to be the sum, the bigger one is going to be the sum, and one is going to be the product. And these are going to be the factors of 2009. sum product. So one possible sum is 2009 and, oh, sorry, not product. Why did I write product? Difference, sum and difference. Diff. So one possible sum is 2009 and one possible difference is 1. And another possible sum is, I don't know, 287, and another difference is 7. And another possible sum is 49, and another possible difference is 41. And this last difference is the biggest one we'll ever get. So this is the biggest one we'll ever get, because the way otherwise, if you keep going, the sum and the differences, they would lead to the integers not being. Wait, because if the reason why this is the largest one, because if the difference was greater than the sum, then that means one of the integers x or y has to be negative. So that means that oh, what's negative? So the maximum difference is 41, and that would have to be our answer, because otherwise, if we kept going, x and y, one of them would become negative. So the sum has to be greater than the difference. So any questions about difference of squares?
If not, we can do this.
Oh, factors of 2009? Well, I mean, you could try a few things. Like you can see it's not divisible by 2, right? Because it's not even. And then it's not divisible by 3 because the digits don't add up to a multiple of 3. And it's not divisible by 5 because it doesn't end or 0 or 5. And then then you could like divide by hand, divide 2009 by 7 and figure out that, oh, it's divisible by 7. And then you could like try that again. And then you would realize it was divisible by 7 again. And yeah. No, I mean, I guess in math counts maybe, but in AMC tests, they love to ask about the years. Okay. Kahoot time?
Okay, so this is random, but we do have Jamboard, so if you do want to look at the problems after class, you can look at them. The most important ones are probably the quadratic formula and Simon's favorite factoring trick, since they are the newest to you and they also are the most frequent. So, yeah.
Oh, are you guys talking about AMC 8? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to have the AMC 10 in 2 days when it already passed.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, is Kahoot mandatory?
Mandatory? Yeah, we'd like to make it mandatory.
You're acting like it's punishment. Okay, no, it's helpful. Yeah, it is mandatory.
Okay, I got it. I'm going to share screen again.
Okay, also the factors of this year, so okay, wait, not 2022, but the factors of 2021 are 43 and 47. So like, you know, that might come up in the test.
Yeah.
However, 2022 is more likely. Okay, so 2022 is divisible is 2 times 3 times 337. Does 337 have times?
You know what you guys should do in your spare time? You should go like look at a clock and try to factor the number it shows before the minute changes.
That would be very fun.
It's if you're really bored and you have nothing else to do, you can like practice your like prime factorization skills, you know?
Hey, could you, okay, if you go to settings, you can make it so that we see the answers on our screen. So then
Oh,
lag wouldn't be a problem.
okay. Crap.
Right.
So we do that. Setting. Yes. Okay. Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you for suggesting that. Can you guys? Oh wait, never mind. It's hard to. Wait, why are there two versions of me? Why are there three versions of me? I think it's probably the same person joining 3 times. Oh, great. Okay, now there's 2 different people, probably. Oh gosh. There's lots of people. Are people allowed to keep joining? Oh,
Okay,
gosh.
yeah, maybe you should just
Start.
You
Okay.
could also
Yeah.
kick the Amy's.
Why would I want to do
There's
that?
Advika's avocado.
Sanvi,
Yeah.
I need peace somewhere.
What does the question mark represent? Okay, well, that's an interesting
I'm
question.
Also,
an
you know,
idiot.
Sanvi, I am not avocado.
Avocados from Mexico.
Okay, b squared minus 4ac. Nice. Oh my gosh, there's 2 Amy's in the leaderboard. This question should be written like this before applying the quadratic formula. Should it be or should it not be?
I mean, technically, you don't have to rewrite it like that, but you just get it wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Technically, you don't have to write anything, but you would get it all wrong.
Right.
Yeah, so set everything to 0. Don't forget about like if it's like equal to like, I don't know, some other constant on this side, do not forget to like subtract that. Oh, now there's only 1 Amy. Okay. What is missing?
I don't like this music.
You want me to change it? Is there ways to do that?
Yes.
What?
Oh, dang, I can't change it. I can only change the volume. Okay.
I think
okay.
on the you could probably change it.
On the oh,
It didn't show during the question.
oh, okay. Anyway,
Well done.
so the first part that was missing is this negative b. So negative b, this is the b value. So negative b is -1. So the b value would be 1. So you can basically eliminate that and that. So the next part was the discriminant. So the discriminant is negative b squared minus 4ac. So negative b squared is 1, and then minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is -2. So it would be this one. By the way, we didn't make this Kahoot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Amy 4.9 release.
True or false, there's no real solution to that. Hint, hint, use the discriminant to discriminate if there's a solution or not. Oh, shit.
Is there something called the determinant? I think
Yeah,
that
the determinant is in a matrix. I used to get them interchanged for some reason.
yeah.
Why? I just thought. Can't say without giving it away. So,
B squared minus 4ac is called a discriminant, not a discriminator. I mean, you were close, but you know.
I think we're probably waiting on like one of the Amy like 2.0s or something, because they're not like actually answering in that one tab. So, okay. So if we just try, if we find the discriminant, so b, the value of b is 2, so b squared would be 4 minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is -5. And since the negatives, since there's like we're multiplying a negative by negative, it'll be 4 plus something. And at this point, we don't even need to solve it because 4 plus a positive thing is going to be positive. So there are actually 2 real solutions. So this would be false. Okay, when you use a quadratic formula, what is true? Okay, so yeah, there can be 0 real solutions if both those solutions are imaginary. There can be 1 real solution in case there's 2 identical solutions, or there can be 2 different solutions. Okay. When a quadratic equation does not contain a linear term, okay. Because we didn't talk about that. And also, I just didn't want to do the question. What form must a quadratic equation be written to use the quadratic formula?
Technically, it can be written in any of these forms.
You would just get it wrong.
Yeah. Which is like, you know, you got an answer at least.
I mean, you could use it in all of these forms, and then you could convert it.
Yeah, but you would still have to write it in the.
You could put all these forms in Desmos, and then you can just look at the x-intercepts easy.
Yeah, but you're not using the quadratic formula then.
Yeah, you are. Well, you're not. You're telling something else to use a quadratic formula.
They don't use a quadratic formula. There's no way Desmos does. What? What the heck is this about? Wait, should I skip this?
No, wait, it's just asking you for the question mark.
Oh. Clear the fractions in the equation. Okay, just write the number. I guess.
Is it? Wait. Honestly,
I'm confused. Is it asking for B or is it not?
It's asking for the question mark, which is negative B, right?
yes, but then like they did the question weirdly because they multiplied by 6, right? So the answer is 18.
What?
Okay, that's weird.
Multiplied the value.
I got it right. I'm off.
Okay, can the person stop standing now?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to skip it, but yeah.
If you looked at the denominator, you could see that it's 2 times one half times x, and that equals 6.
Oh, okay.
So
You know,
Oh,
I'm
so
not-
they wanted to clear the fractions and the coefficients, right?
you'd have to look at the denominator to find that everything was multiplied by 6. So
Oh, this is a dumb question, honestly.
99 spam messages in the chat for what? For one book.
Okay, this is a better question.
No, I made a mistake.
Oh no.
Yeah. Hint, it's yellow.
No, it's obviously red.
Right. Obviously, if you got a 0. Zero, not numbers.
I'm pretty sure it's just that one, Amy, but just didn't.
Ah, some of you guys saw the 0.
Okay. But yeah, if the value under the square root equals 0, that doesn't necessarily mean b is 0, right? And only if b is 0 is the solution x is equal to 0. Remember, you can have a parabola with the vertex at like a point like 3, 0, right? Or both of its solutions at 3, right? So yeah, so it's not green, and you definitely aren't wrong, because b squared minus 4ac can equal 0. And irrational means that you have a square root, or you have a number like pi or e in your answer. And you aren't going to get pi or e if in a quadratic formula unless b is, pi or e. But it's not giving that. And square root of 0 is 0. And that's not a square root, that's just 0. So that means the solution is a double root.
Yeah. Okay, find the solutions to this.
Yeah, lag in Zoom is pretty common.
Okay, wait. Do you guys want more time on this question?
It's fine. The answer is blue.
Okay, if any. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna walk through this quickly. So negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Negative b is 6 plus minus the square root of b squared, which is 36, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3, over 2a. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so now we simplify the square root. 36 minus 24 is 12, I think. So this would become the square root of 12. And if we simplify the square root of 12, that is 2 times the square root of 3. So now everything here can be basically divided by 2. So the answer becomes 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 divided by 2. So it would be the blue.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 4:28. So I think we should only do one more problem.
Are you
I skipped
joking?
it.
I clicked on the thing. It didn't work.
Oh no.
You can end the. Okay, Amy, just
What?
let them do the talk. Wait, we're doing one more problem, right?
This. Oh crap! This is one more
yeah.
problem. Shoot.
Yeah.
I hope all of you can solve this problem.
I mean, it's the last problem, so.
You guys
Why
can
are
just
there
choose
still-
an answer.
Yeah, why are there still people?
I think they probably gave up.
Yeah.
Okay, there are 3 people who are an expert, 2 people who are getting there, and 1 person that needs per practice. Honestly, I'm surprised there's anyone who's an expert because you guys literally just spent 3 days learning about quadratic equations. And I mean, hopefully you learned stuff, but I definitely don't expect you guys to be experts at this point because, you know. Okay, and in first place we have, okay, that person. Okay. Wait, who is Little Nas X? Wait, who is Little Nas X? And who is Study or No Food?
That's. I'm not gonna start to say that name, but just look in chat.
Oh, wait, who is, wait, Junglin? Is that Charles? Wait,
Yeah, it
Are
is
you-
Charles.
okay. And then who's Little Nas X?
If they don't respond, can I get 5th?
Wait,
Because I
who
was
got
6th, I
5th?
think.
Who got 5th?
That was avocado.
Who's Avocado?
I
Me.
guess Sanvi, probably.
Me.
Oh, his
Brian?
name resigned.
Yes.
Oh, and also Charles, I think you should be able to change your screen name. Yeah. Wait, okay, if Little Nas X
How
does
do
not,
you think? How do you think your mom changed your name? If you don't think you can change your name on Zoom?
okay, Little Nas X is not responding. So, okay, so the standings are Advika, Charles, and Ian. So, good job to everyone. And